Pink eye, now the reason I've got that in there, I'm a bit different to old man Todd here, who still injects antibiotics into the eyelids because you need good restraint for that. The ointments, there are two different brands. There's the old Orban and eye ointment, and there's now the Opticlox. I use the Opticlox because it's actually got more of the antibiotic in it per squeeze. Fantastic stuff, fantastic. Eyes that really you wouldn't believe that they're going to come back. They're pointed and look like they're going to rupture. Fantastic gear. Fly control is extremely important. Indulge in that as well. I love that purple spray you used to put on horse wounds and things like that. And I particularly like the aerosol version because it sticks better. If you go to the vet now, you'll get the pump pack because it doesn't have the hissing sound, it doesn't bother them, but most will run off the face. It's not designed to go into the eye, but fly control is important. Insecticidal ear tags, a pour on with easy dose, or Cydectin actually has pretty good repellent. The fly control is important, and one of the reasons it's important is this. Moraxella bovis is what's in the vaccine. The vaccine is good, but the vaccine only lasts for 5 to 6 months, and it only protects against Moraxella bovis. And there were enough vaccine failures in the last year or two for Coopers who make Pilligard, the vaccine, to look into it. If you Google it, you'll find that there's another bacteria called Moraxella bovoculi. And the older pieces of work would say it's actually not important in creating pink eye, you need Moraxella bovis. Turns out that might not be right. And so you'll see stuff under the heading of winter pink eye. If you have a vaccine failure, Coopers has encouraged me then to swab those eyes. Let's see if it isn't Moraxella bovoculi. And I've only done one. It was at Tocal's own dairy, and sure enough, it was Moraxella bovoculi. Different strain, and the vaccine does not work against it. So if you can't rely entirely on the vaccine, because there are different strains getting around, then fly control becomes very important indeed. The antibiotic ointments are fantastic. The patches also are good, mainly because they stop you worrying about the eye, I think. It stops the flies getting on there. The other thing with pink eye treatment, and I see people do this because the tube will say, the instructions will say, treat both eyes, the good eye and the bad eye, if you've got an unaffected eye. And then they'll run cattle up the race and they go from that animal's good eye, then they treat that bad eye, then they go to the next animal's good eye, they've become the fly. You've got to be more careful than that with your biosecurity. You go from an animal where contact with an infected eye is what's going to spread it, and they haven't washed their hands in between. Also, even though the antibiotic should cure it, I would never use, because the tube will say use a quarter or a third of a tube in an affected eye, but treat the good eye as well. I would never go from an animal's infected eye to some other animal's good eye. In the yards, no, they're for infected eyes. The new tubes are the ones you use on the good eyes, and wash your hands in between. Sorry for that lecture, but that's how it spreads.